Don't leave! What are you doing?
If you think about it, the world we live in right now is one of constant monitoring. Whether you go to the bank or the mall or even at the subway, there are cameras everywhere. I mean, geez, it's a wonder that some places even allow us to go to the restroom without watching us. Or maybe they do. Anyways, these days, who really knows? Still though, despite the fact that surveillance is pretty much everywhere, there seems to also be a segment of people who tend to forget that they're being watched from time to time. And at this point, these people decide to just let themselves go and be as natural as possible. From the downright comical to the slightly disturbing, join us as we have a look at some instances where people forgot they were being watched by cameras. Wrong location. Now, I personally think that electric vehicles are the future. They're easier to drive, they don't stress you out, and you don't have to spend a nickel for fueling. But that all being said, there are people who appear to have a bit of an issue understanding just how they work. Take this woman, for instance. She apparently took a Tesla to a gas station and tried to fill it up with gas. Do you realize how silly you have to be to get a Tesla and take it all the way to a gas station? First of all, she didn't even know where the fuel pump was because, there is none. And so she just stood there and kept walking around the car looking for something that didn't exist. All of this kind of begs the question, was she the one who had bought the car, or was the car just given to her? Because how on earth do you not understand your car's electric? Bicycle flip. If you're a fan of soccer, you'll probably agree that the bicycle kick is one of the coolest moves on the planet. You get the ball, raise it in the air, and turn your body just in time to hit it. But for something so cool, working out the mechanics of the bicycle kick is incredibly difficult. Even professional soccer players still try and fail. And how much more a random guy who tried it on the street with a balloon? There's just so much wrong with the clip. First of all, that wasn't a ball, it was a balloon. And secondly, the guy obviously didn't have the calmness or grace to pull the move off. He did it anyways though, and I'm really just glad that the lady behind him was able to move out of the way in time before she got kicked in the face. Spooking the dog. So they say that dogs are a man's best friend, and what's the point of having a best friend if you can't do something like this to them every once in a while? The dog was so scared, I'm pretty sure it would never try to walk toward that area of the house again. The guy jumped out so fast, even I got scared a little bit. And I have to say, it's not a bad way to scare a pet. Domino effect. Whenever you're at work, the prevailing thought is that you'd be serious and dedicated enough to focus on every aspect of the job. And when your job is literally to sell large, delicate items, you want to make sure that you at least don't damage it. But even for the most dedicated workers, there are just some of those days when things don't quite pan out, and these guys know what I'm talking about. Do you know how much trouble that guy just put himself in? How on earth does he even intend to explain that to someone? I know he tripped and fell, and the cameras would support that, but something tells me he's about to get a massive deduction in his salary in order to cover those damages. Absent-minded. If you grew up with a toy or a phone, I'm sure you got an earful whenever you were focusing too much on it that you seemed to not care about anything else. Personally, my parents would tell me off whenever I was on the phone for too long as a kid. And while most of us were younger, we probably thought that they were nagging. But when you look at this guy, I think it's safe to say our parents kind of had a point. Not only was the guy barely paying attention to his customer, but he also apparently was just too busy with his phone to notice the pool in front of him. I know he might have been working on said phone, but come on, it's just poor play from the guy. Loading error. You know those situations where you see someone make such a silly mistake at work and think, it won't ever happen to me? Well, I know it's easy to think that, but trust me, with the way the human mind works, you really don't know when it's going to be your turn to commit a blunder so hilarious at work that even you have to laugh at yourself. Take this guy for example. Now there's something comical about how the whole thing turned out. Flopping over and dropping one of the bags was bad enough, but dropping both and having all the sauce spill in his eye, that must have been the crowning moment of a monumentally terrible day. I think he really should just take the next day off. Too much weight. I think exotic dancers are really talented people. With the way they sling around poles and coordinate their bodies, they're truly consummate athletes. But try as some people may, they just aren't able to quite nail that pole dancing bit.
Oh!
I like the fact that he tried to play it cool, but come on, man. We all know that you messed up there. One link, two links. Here's a general rule of thumb about what I would call untenable situations. If you notice that you made a huge mistake and there's a potential for it to get worse, it's usually within your best interest to take your time and figure out how you're going to get yourself out of that jam. For a perfect illustration of what I mean, check out this next scenario. Apparently, the woman who had worked at a shopping mall was trying to stack up some shopping carts, but she had made a mistake, and it led to the entire stack falling to the ground. As you can see, she made a mistake and was quick to admit the fact, so what does she do? Instead of just restacking the carts or taking the rebuilding effort one after another, she decided to act smart, and this only led to things going from bad to much, much worse. And that, my friends, is the way to make an already bad day even more stressful for yourself. The poor lady, just look at what she's done now. Show off, fail. Now look, we all love to show off every now and again. If you've got something you know how to do, you'll want to show everyone else that you can really do it. But in the process of showing off, it's really important that you watch out and not end up making a fool out of yourself. Take this guy, for example, who appeared to be showing off his ability to walk in a straight line. Now I know what you're thinking, this stuff is pretty basic and anyone else can do it, but I'm pretty sure that was the same thing his buddies had told him. The guy decided to kick things up a notch, and this is when things took a turn for the worse. Now honestly, I've got to applaud the guy for his ability to shake off that fall like it was nothing wrong. He just straight up stood there and acted like everything was good. Well, what's good is that you just had your butt kicked by the ground. Anticlimactic ending. Now, it's one thing for you to try showing off and have things blow up in your face, but it's another thing entirely to pull off something pretty cool and still end up looking like a dork because you weren't cool enough to just ride the wave. Not sure what I mean? Well, take a look at this lady. She had apparently nailed a pretty slick pool move, and instead of being cool about it, she decided to pretty much ruin her entire act. In case you're unsure of what took place, the woman decided to be a bit too cool for herself, and as a reward, she ended up with a stick in her face for all of her troubles. It's just really sad in the end. Pop at the salon. If you're ever going to a supermarket and you have a child, then I don't think it's possible for me to overstate how important it is for you to always keep an eye on them. Children are a blessing and all, but they're also a handful to deal with. You could take yours to the convenience store, and he could end up deciding to do something like this. Now, I honestly don't know what's worse, the fact that the boy's parents must have been horrified when they saw him with a fresh cut, or the fact that he could have easily continued cutting himself if the attendant had not stopped him. Just imagine the look on his parents' faces when they spotted him with a fresh cut out of nowhere. Yikes! Don't waste my time. Personally, I've always wondered how much patience it takes to work with a ride-hailing app. I mean, if I'm an Uber driver, I literally have to wait for strangers to come into my car and then drive them around. I know Uber and other ride-hailers are incredibly useful, but I don't think I'd ever want to be one of those drivers. It looks like this guy sure gets the idea of being frustrated by some riders. He apparently got to his destination in time, only to be irked by his prospective passenger. And after waiting for the guy in the rain, he pulled off the perfect revenge. Honestly, I can't blame the driver. He must have been in a crazy rush, only to have this guy waste all of his time. And if he's not ready to go, well, someone else surely is. Cat-on-cat action. Okay, so when I started this video, you probably thought I'd only be talking about humans who didn't know that they were being watched. What if I told you that some animals apparently don't have a sense of awareness as well? For this next clip, we see a moment when two cats decided to get pretty frisky with each other, and let me tell you, it was a doozy. Now, seeing two cats on their own duking it out can be quite the challenge, but wait until you see who came in to separate them. Out of absolutely nowhere, another cat comes out and was able to break up the entire scuffle. Besides the fact that the cat seemed to be the real OG amongst the three, you've also got to give it props for how it was able to make such a daring jump. Great job there, buddy. Call the mechanic. Over in developed countries, I feel like we tend to take the gift of good roads for granted. As someone who's visited a few third world countries, I can surely tell you, their roads don't even come close to what we've got over here in the United States. I mean, can you even imagine how annoying it would be for you to travel and have to deal with something like this? You may be thinking, yeah, that's not so bad, just a little pothole that's affecting the road. But hold on to that thought for just one moment. Can you even imagine how perplexing it must be? I'm pretty sure that whoever that was did not plan on taking their car to the mechanic for a repair that day, but due to the utter negligence of whoever was supposed to maintain that road, now they do. Splish splash. The general rule of thumb when it comes to swimming is that you should never do it while drunk. I mean, look, I know a lot of us enjoy a glass of bubbly every once in a while, and it can be pretty cool, but you really should never try to hop into a pool while you're under the influence. And if you don't believe me, here's a clip to help explain things better for you. I don't even know if it was the wine that she had that caused the fall, or if she tripped on the steps as she was trying to get into that pool, but whatever it was, I think it's safe to say that she would have stood a better chance of not embarrassing herself if she hadn't been drinking. Plus, why was it that the guy who jumped to defend her only cared about saving that glass of wine? I mean, she's already soaked. Forgetful family. Being forgetful is something that happens to even the best of us every once in a while. You know that feeling. You're heading back from work, insanely tired, and the only thing you want to do is to get into your bed and nod off. For this family, however, it appeared that everyone took it a little too far. I get it's perfectly normal for one person to be forgetful, but the entire family to just go in and leave the little girl there? That's almost criminal. How on earth do you even do that? Superhero landing. Now, we've already seen a situation where someone did something cool and didn't quite stick the landing, but the funny thing is that even if you follow up something cool with a chill response, you could still end up looking pretty funny. For this next clip, we see a guy who managed to pull off a pretty slick landing after falling off an elevated platform. This guy managed to land pretty alright, and instead of just waving it off like a cool cat or something, he decided to get into some poor guy's kung fu stance and keep looking at what he was fixing as if it was going to attack him or something. I mean, come on, man. You're the one who fell off. If anything, you should be facing yourself with that stance. Perfect entry. If you're ever working in a warehouse and you're in charge of loading and unloading items, it's important that you take proper precautions to be very vigilant, or else you may just end up finding yourself in a pretty compromising position. Take a look at this guy, for example, and you'll get what I mean. Now, there are two things to be noted here. First of all, the guy was lucky that he wasn't in charge of loading something harder that could have injured him. And secondly, can you imagine how much the guy driving the truck would have laughed when it happened? I mean, even now, I'm almost bending over myself with laughter. You really can't write this stuff up, even if you tried. Evading the feds. If there's one thing you never want to do, it's run from the authorities. Whatever it is they have on you, the best bet is usually just to lay low and talk things out with them. But for a lot of people who have been found guilty of one crime or another, living life on the run apparently is the best course of action for some odd reason. Then there's this lady who decided to sit down in a single spot as the police officers spent time looking for her. The crazy thing about it is that it actually worked. I mean, I know the cops would have caught her eventually, but for this particular moment, it appears that she actually managed to escape them. Who would have thought that just sitting still was the perfect way to evade the police? Going up. Now, I know they're usually helpful when you need to get them from one floor of a building to the other, but elevators can also be pretty annoying. One of the most irksome things they do is to just keep opening if they notice something blocking the doors. And you get to see a perfect illustration of that in this clip. You know what's even more insane? A woman apparently came to remedy the situation, but instead of just taking the skateboard out of the way and letting the elevator doors close, she somehow managed to make things worse and I mean really worse. Can you even imagine how much of a bill the owners of the building would have had to pay to get that fixed? All because someone was too lazy to move a skateboard out of the way. Follow that hand. Apart from playing with them and all, one of the best parts about having a dog is being able to just mess with them from time to time. I mean, how else would you be able to explain someone doing this to their pet? According to the person who posted it, he was actually trying to clean the window, but with his pet dog seemingly thinking it was some sort of prank, you can imagine how difficult such a task must have been. I know the dog just loves playing with its owner and is looking for a good time, but come on. It seems a little bit excessive, don't you think? Unnecessary roughness. If you're a fan of the WWE, then there's a significant chance that you have spent a considerable portion of your childhood practicing the moves you saw on your TV set. Whether it was John Cena's attitude adjustment or Randy Orton's RKO, being able to do these moves was incredibly cool back then. And I don't know about you, but something tells me this little lady had been watching just a little bit too much WWE lately. Either that or she's a huge fan of the NFL. Can you even imagine the accuracy with which she tackled that dog? There's absolutely no way you can convince me she had not been practicing that move for quite a while. A literal home wrecker. Don't you just hate it when you leave home with your dog and you come back to see that he's made a huge mess? Well, I don't know whether to call this one a mess, but something tells me whoever owns the dog will be mighty pissed off when they get back home. The crazy thing here is that the dog looked at the camera when it was done, as if it was seeking some validation or something. I don't really know if the little mutt was aware it was being recorded, but something tells me that it may just be sleeping outside that night. I mean, just look at the damage, for Pete's sake. Standoff. Now, there's nothing quite like a midday drive. Get into your car, go somewhere, or just drive around to clear your head, and you suddenly find yourself in a situation where you're in an ego-measuring contest with some other driver on the road. But wait, instead of just waving the thing off and choosing to go your separate ways, the two drivers decided to stick it through instead and literally just stood there staring into each other's eyes. Talk about the perfect case of toxic masculinity. An unexpected guest. Have you ever been in a supermarket and suddenly noticed a full-blown animal intrusion? I've personally never had it, but I actually want to witness it someday. Take a look at this scenario, for example. Everyone was going about their business at the store, and then it happens. I actually think the weirdest part of the clip was seeing the cavalier, nonchalant attitude of the store attendant in the whole thing. I mean, was it that he was already used to it? Do they have these type of break-ins regularly? He barely even moved. Eventually, however, the deer was able to find its way out of the store, but even that was done in a clumsy manner. The deer just went out looking to get something, but left without even seeing what it wanted. Ooh, the feeling of frustration. Get off my lawn. You remember that whole thing about dogs being man's best friend? Well, some dogs take it so literally that they would do anything to protect their human friends, even if it meant attacking some of their other friends as well. I'm pretty sure these guys just pulled up at the house of one of their buddies, and instead of being greeted with open arms, they got the chase of their lives. If these clips have shown us anything, it's that having cameras around your place really could be a net benefit. I mean, you just never know what hilarious clips you'll get out of it. But what do you think? Let me know about it in the comments below. Be sure you subscribe to get more videos like this in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.